Where we left off with Yu-Gi-Oh! Yugi had just solved the guillotine puzzle and freed all of his friends from a horrible slow death bleeding out in a locked mansion, and at the same time opened the path forward to the next part of the mansion and the next part of Kaiba's sadistic game. But suddenly the useless little baby character that's with them gets snatched through that way forward, presumably by the evil Chopman, who Kaiba had earlier claimed is somewhere in this mansion. Chopman, for those who don't remember, is a serial killer who has been eluding the police for some time now, and who Kaiba has seemingly been helping to do so, specifically so that he could be used in this event against Yugi and his friends. So they, of course, go after the baby so that they can get him back for some reason, and it turns out that in the 3.5 seconds that he's been apart from them, he has somehow sided with the Chopman in order to save his own life, I would imagine, and helps to lead Jonouchi into a trap. Now, it's not entirely the involvement of the baby which does this. Kaiba also appears on a TV screen in this dark room that Jonouchi is supposed to go into, and goads him forward. So Jonouchi goes into this dark room. A heavy wooden door with bars in it slams shut behind him, trapping him inside, and a bunch of candles light up somehow, revealing that he is in the room with the Chopman. And during all of this, the stupid little baby cuffs one of Jonouchi's arms, and he sees that he is cuffed to a central pillar, and then the cuff extends past the central pillar to the Chopman, and they are cuffed together, left circling each other until one of them defeats the other, and the Chopman is armed with a chainsaw. But with a helpful suggestion from Yugi and some clever use of one of the candle sconces on the chamber wall, Jonouchi is able to escape from his bindings, use the Chopman's strength against him to break the door down, and at the same time he sets the flammable liquid covering the floor of the enclosed chamber on fire, killing the Chopman, which, while I am not someone who advocates killing in any sort of regular scenario, this dude was a monster. He probably needed to die. That's probably a good thing that that happened. And I'm honestly not going to spend too much time dwelling on this one. This is another example of a good Yu-Gi-Oh chapter going directly into a pretty bad Yu-Gi-Oh chapter, just like the roller coaster of death or whatever it was. This felt like Kazuki Takahashi trying to justify the presence of this baby character. I think his name's like Choji or something, I don't freaking know, in the story, and again, I just don't buy it. The goading from Kaiba could have lured Jonouchi into that room, and Jonouchi is certainly a brave enough person that, especially before the lights came on, if Kaiba had told him he had to cuff himself in order to progress through the game and save everyone, he would have done it. And while they might have explored the rest of the floor of the mansion that they were already on before they progressed, they were going to progress through that trapdoor anyway, so the baby being taken didn't matter. Nothing that he did here mattered. And as for the game itself this time, this is one of the most over-the-top aspects of the Death Tea arc. Once Yugi and his friends complete this game, whether they win or lose, this game will be available for other people to play in a less deadly version. How is Chopman being there in that mansion for real conducive to that? I get that Kaiba has a lot of money and that law enforcement in this world is basically non-existent, but eventually someone is going to come and arrest Kaiba for killing off visitors to his amusement park in a game. That is going to happen. It's just, there are already things throughout the Death Tea arc that strain credibility, and I think this is the one that does so the most. Even more so than the hyper-realistic monster holograms. Not to mention the fact that I never for once expected Jonouchi to even be touched by this guy. He is portrayed as inhumanly strong, and he's carrying a frickin' chainsaw. Other Jonouchi fights have been tense because while there was a very real chance that he would get hurt, there was also a very real chance that he could just win the encounter with his physicality should he get a good hit in. Jonouchi up to this point has been the physical side of this team. Yugi is not very powerful physically in either of his forms, so Jonouchi acts as his muscle, and therefore for a really tense Jonouchi battle to happen, he has to be on relatively equal footing with his opponent. Here he wasn't, and because I never once expected Jonouchi to die this early in the game, if at all, and I certainly didn't expect him to die in such a one-sided fight, there was absolutely no tension here. It just came off as goofy. And this is Yu-Gi-Oh! We're talking about. If something is notable in its goofiness within the context of Yu-Gi-Oh!, it has to be pretty freaking goofy. I think it's clear by now that I don't like this chapter at all, and I kind of feel insulted that Chopman actually ended up making it into the card game as a card, because I honestly think his inclusion in this arc is one of the low points of the franchise. But hey, maybe that's just me. So let me know, what do you guys think of this chapter of Yu-Gi-Oh! If you have seen it? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below, or over on my Discord. Link in the description. Either way though, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.